Okay, this is tonight is the fourth lecture in the series of obesity and weight-related problems. So we have the pleasure and honor having Dr. Doaa Habashy. She's a pediatrician. Has long been working in Sydney. She will talk to us about child obesity. This is the final of the four lectures, but there will be after that individual lectures. We will advertise in due course. We're having about maybe 3 weeks from now, just for the resurrection, and the couple of weeks after that, and we should start the new lectures, and we will advertise. So Dr. Doaa, please.
Hi, my name is Doaa Habashy. Thank you very much for inviting me to come here to talk tonight. As we've seen over the last 3 weeks, obesity is a huge problem throughout the whole world. And it has horrible complications, both physically, emotionally, in the social aspects of life as well. And a lot of it starts in children. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about obesity in children, give you some strategies on how to manage it, and the important thing is to teach children healthy lifestyle habits that go with them into the adulthood so as to prevent all these horrible complications. Obesity actually affects children more than it does in adults. 1 in 4 children is classified as being obese, whereas 1 in 5 adults are obese. And from a worldwide distribution, 34 countries were studied, and it showed that the US was number 1, the Middle East came in 3rd, and Australia came in 5th for girls and 8th for boys, so around about the 6th. When we measure obesity in children, we don't just do BMIs the way the adults do. We look at the BMI on a graph, and anything above the 85th centile is considered to be overweight, and anything above the 95th centile is considered to be obese. So we will look at the causes of obesity. Genetic causes, things like Down syndrome, Prader-Willi syndrome, causes of low-acting thyroid. I'm not going to talk about them tonight. I'm going to talk about the big one. And the main one is high consumption of energy-dense, low-nutrition foods. That combined with a lack of physical activity and exercise and poor sleep. Screens is one of the big problems in children. And I'm going to talk about it not just in terms of obesity, but in terms of childhood problems in general. It causes inactivity. So as long as you're sitting on a screen, you're not exercising, you're not moving, you're not burning some calories, you're not socialising, you're not doing anything particularly productive. We're not talking about school work here, we're just talking about recreational screens. Also, if you're on your screens while you eat, you tend to get distracted and you tend to overeat, and that will influence your obesity. Screens also emit a blue light, and blue light has been shown to suppress the melatonin release in the brain. Melatonin is a hormone that puts the brain into a sleep mode. So if you have suppressed that, then the sleep onset is later and you can have some disturbed sleep. And the content, of course. So in the content in smaller children, things like violence and how it can influence nightmares, and things in children, in adolescents, who tend to look at other people and compare themselves to it, and then it produces a lower self-esteem and a distorted body image. Sleep is really important. We all know sleep deprivation releases a couple of hormones, or releases a few hormones, but the 2 I'm going to talk about are cortisol, is your stress hormone. And when your cortisol rises, it tends to make you feel off. You just don't feel right. You are very irritable, you don't tolerate things very well. Minor triggers can make you a little bit upset, And cortisol also increases your desire for fatty foods. So when you haven't had a good night's sleep, chips and chicken nuggets look really, really good. The other thing about sleep deprivation is that kids get sleepy during the day and they don't concentrate. And you want them to concentrate because you want them to learn at school, you want them to succeed, you want them to have good self-esteem, you want them to keep up with everybody else in the class. Sleep also increases your adrenaline, and adrenaline mimics the symptoms of anxiety. So it causes the heart rate to go up, the butterflies in the tummy, the not being able to focus, and it can mimic the symptoms of anxiety, which can contribute to overeating if you're going to be an emotional trigger eater. And it can cause behavioural changes as well. Indeed, when we do the checklist for ADHD, we have to exclude sleep deprivation, because sleep deprivation can cause irritability. Like I said, the rise in adrenaline can cause poor concentration, running around, not being able to sleep or not being able to settle, and in some kids can even cause aggression. The complications of obesity. Look, these have been discussed in the last 3 times, so I'm not going to go over terribly many of them. But I want to talk about obstructive sleep apnea because it affects sleep. So what happens is when we go into a deeper stage of sleep, our muscles tend to relax. So when we have a thick neck wall and it collapses and it blocks our airways and the oxygen comes down, and then the child ends up having to wake up. So what happens is the child never ends up being in that deep stage of sleep, and deep stage of sleep is very important for a child's development and their growth. And because their sleep is interrupted, they're going to have poor sleep and they're going to have all the problems that we discussed before. All the fatty livers, the gastroesophageal reflux, the gallstones. But type 2 diabetes is a really important one. Precocious puberty, where children go into puberty at a much younger age, and that can cause a lot of anxiety because all those other children around them in the class haven't gone into puberty, whereas they have, and it can be quite distressing. Menstrual irregularities, and of course the high cholesterol and the high fat content in the blood. But more importantly in children, it's more important because it has been shown that obesity in adolescence is a higher risk, or makes these kids at higher risk of significant anxiety and depression in the future life, as well as being anxious and thank you. That's great, thank you. So it causes a high rate of anxiety and depression. Oh, thank you. Oops. So can I just go back like that? Oh, great. And I'll talk a little bit about how we can manage anxiety and depression in children in general a little bit later in the talk. It can influence their social interactions. So if they don't feel good about themselves and they don't have much confidence, then that can cause some social isolation, it can cause stigma. Some of them get bullied. They might avoid social interactions just because they don't feel particularly confident. It can affect their learning, and affect the factors that affect learning are multifactorial. So it's the sleep deprivation that we were talking about. It could be the isolation in the classroom. It could be that if they're shy or they're self-conscious, they might be too afraid to put their hand up and ask a question to the teacher if they don't understand something. And if they fall behind in school, then they tend to feel like they're not as good as everybody else, and that affects their self-esteem, and it's not good for them. So generally speaking, their self-esteem is a really big complication of obesity in children. So the management. There are 8 healthy habits that we're going to talk about for children between the ages of 2 and 17. So the first one's going to be water, and we're going to aim to reduce all the juices and all the soft drinks and aim for water. And you can't go from soft drinks to water straight away. We're going to just have to cut back bit by bit and change certain habits. We're going to aim for 5 serves of vegetables and 2 serves of fruit every single day. We're going to have breakfast every day. And breakfast is actually very important because breakfast sets up the child to have enough energy to begin the day, to be able to focus at school, and also it stops them from binge eating later on. So breakfasts such as eggs, which is good protein, and toast, or an avocado, or yogurt and fruit, and nuts, or some whole grain cereals, anything that says not particularly processed will be better than those processed foods. We're going to teach our child to be mindful of portion sizes. Use that one? Okay. We're going to be mindful of our portion sizes. We're going to eat only until we're full, and we're not going to be distracted during our meals. We're going to teach our children to have healthier snacks than usual. So snacks such as, again, yogurt, fruit, cheese sticks, nuts, healthy snacks. So when you go to the supermarket, you can have a look at the back panels and look at the nutritional information and compare two products and go for the one that has higher protein and less fat and less sugar. I think I keep touching that. We're going to limit our recreational screen time, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We're going to be more active, and it's recommended that we do 1 hour of vigorous exercise a day. And vigorous, we mean huffing and puffing, and we're going to get enough sleep. The first thing we're going to do is get the family involved. When you can get the family involved, you'll have a greater chance of having success. This is a lifestyle change that has to be modelled by the family. We're going to use positive language. We're going to say to our children, look, we've moved into an unhealthy weight. We're not going to use the word fat. We've moved into an unhealthy weight, and we are, as a family, going to get together and we're going to eat more homemade food, more nutritious food. We're going to eat together. We're going to exercise together. We're going to have meal plans, and we're going to involve the child in making some meal plans for the week, because when you have a meal plan, then that reduces the chance of you having to order Uber Eats or go through a drive-through when you've already planned for the week. We're going to talk to the child in a positive way. We're not going to single the child out, so we can't say, your brothers and sisters are not overweight, so they're going to get cake for dessert, but you are, so you're going to get carrot sticks. We're not going to single them out. We're not going to make them feel different. We're not going to criticise them, and we're not going to say, it's your fault that you are overweight because you do this, that and the other. With our meals, we're going to generally aim for about 50% of the plate to be vegetables, 30% protein and 20% carbohydrates. I'm just going to talk from the outset. Children are growing people, so they need really good nutrition. They need their calciums from their dairy. They need good healthy fats for growth. Then good healthy fats would come from olive oil, avocado, nuts and seeds. They need protein for muscles, for vitamins, for iron. So we want to give our children good nutrition, and when we put a plate out, or we give children some food, we want to know that all those foods are going to help them grow. So with vegetables are low energy. They've got a lot of essential vitamins and minerals, and they can make a child feel full quicker, as do protein. Protein can make a child feel full a lot quicker as well. Carbohydrates are important, such as the rice, the pasta, the bread, the corn, for some energy. And they do all have a bit of nutrition, but the nutritional content is not that great. So we want to give more of protein in the vegetables, and plenty of water. What to avoid? Soft drinks. No child under the age of 13 I don't know what I keep doing.
I'll take on the other.
I think it's because I've touched it.
I'll just close all the other. Sorry, just opening up.
Sorry. No child under the age of 13 should be having Coca-Cola at all. Coca-Cola, all these foods, by the way, that we're avoiding is, they're just sometimes food. So sometimes we can have them at birthday parties, at barbecues, family gatherings, etc. I have no idea. "600 mils of Coca-Cola has 16 teaspoons of sugar." So that's a 600 mils. So a can of what is 375 mils? It's got a lot of sugar. The caffeine in Coca-Cola, it acts on the brain and makes the brain hyperactive. So it can mimic ADHD, where kids can run around and not be able to sit still, not be able to focus, not be able to sleep. It causes acidity in the stomach. It can make the heart rate go high, so make them feel like they're anxious. And it's not very good for the teeth either. It wears away the enamel of the teeth. So Coca-Cola is something that, under the age of 13, we would say don't give it at all. And over the age of 13, it's just a sometimes drink. So try and limit the amount that they have. Make it infrequent and make it a small amount of possible. And just educate the child. Educate the child to say, look, this is how much sugar is in it, and these are the effects. It's going to make you feel like you're anxious and you're not going to be able to sit still. Just an aside, children who have Coca-Cola just before Sunday school are really hard to teach. Other things like caffeinated drinks. I know that some of the Year 12 students like to drink a little bit of coffee so to help them with their study, but we're going to limit these because, again, caffeine mimics the symptoms of anxiety, and anxiety causes overeating and causes other issues as well. Juice also has a lot of sugar in it. A 600 ml bottle of orange juice, for example, is 6 oranges and has about 13 teaspoons of sugar in it. So juice is not healthy at all. I would much prefer that a child eats an orange and gets the fibre from the orange and gets the juices from the orange and the vitamin C and all the other nutrients from the orange, rather than have an orange juice that has been brought from the supermarket. Your fast foods, as we say, are high in fat and calorie dense. Sugar. Sugar tends to give you a sugar high, but then when the sugar drops, the child can get irritable, can get angry, want to eat more foods, and increases their appetite, or they're hungry and they want to eat more foods. And sugar is one of those things that we limit again, and is a sometimes food in small amounts. Energy drinks. I have had one patient who was taking a lot of energy drinks, and it causes arrhythmias of the heart, and this particular patient ended up in intensive care because it causes arrhythmias. Stay away from them. Energy drinks are something that that children tend to have when they haven't had enough sleep and they feel groggy for all the reasons that I mentioned before, and they take the energy drinks to try and combat some of those symptoms. Exercise. This is wonderful because exercise has been shown to be as good, if not better, in reducing depression and anxiety than medication. Exercise doesn't contribute all that much to weight loss in adults, but in children it contributes more. So it increases the weight loss, it strengthens your muscles, strengthens the bones, it stops the cravings for sugars, it improves focus and concentration, it improves sleep, which is very important, joint pain, general well-being and social bonding. So exercises for our children, what we can do is we can enrol them in after-school exercises such as tennis, swimming, soccer. But what's really good is if the whole family can exercise together. If the whole family after dinner or before dinner, whichever one suits them, goes for a walk together, takes a dog for a walk, goes for a bike ride, goes to the park, kicks a ball, plays with his siblings, anything. And even if you can't go outside, then inside you can skip with a rope or even dance, because dancing inside the house as a family can increase the cardiovascular system and improve their well-being. Screens. The recommendation for screens between the ages of 0 and 2 years is none at all. For 2 to 5 years, it's 1 hour a day, and for 5 to 17 years, it's 2 hours a day. Screens have a lot of negative impacts. So in the first 2 years of life, what happens is that the images go too fast and are way too colourful, and it doesn't contribute to the development of the brain. In the first 2 to 5 years, again, if you're watching a lot of content where there's changing in the images, a child is not going to be able to focus later on any one thing. And this is recreational screens, by the way. This is not homework and assignments and essays, etc. So what we do is we say no screens before bedtime at all. 2 hours before you go to bed, because of the suppression of the melatonin that I spoke to you about with the blue light. Parents just get in control of the children. Set limits. This is how long you've got your screen for. After 20 minutes, I'm going to take the screen away. There are also parental controls, and also monitor what your children are watching, the content, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But there are some apps where parents can monitor the time, the screen time, and the screen content that their child is viewing. The content, as I talked to you about before, with social media and celebrities and comparison, and in younger children, it's the violent stuff. With the comparison, comparison is a really negative thing to do. So what we want to do with our children is we want to tell them how beautiful they are. Because children, and indeed all human beings, have been created in the image of God. And if we have been created in the image of God, then we are beautiful, because God has made us that way. Not because of what society says, as Abuna was saying tonight. It's not what society says, it's what God says. And God says we are each made in his image, and therefore we are beautiful. And God loves variety. So each child is unique. There's never been a child like that created before, and there never will be again in the future. They are one of a kind. They are unique, they are special, they are cherished, they are valuable, they are a gift, and we should instill in them that whatever they look like or how good they are at school or sports or whatever, they are who they are, and they are one of a kind, and they are beautiful just the way they are. And this is something that needs a lot of work and repetition to be able to get a child to understand that their beauty is defined by the beauty that God has made them in his image, and not by any other definition. And I'll talk a little bit more about how to improve body image a little bit later on. So find alternatives to screens. If a child needs downtime, read a book. Go out and exercise with the family. Like I said, walk the dog, go for a bike ride, play board games with the family, or cards, as we Egyptians like to do. Find something instead of, because you can't take something away from a child without giving them something in replace of it. Sleep. The recommendations for 5 to 12-year-olds is about 10 to 12 hours a night. I'm pretty sure it's me. I'm pretty sure it's because I keep touching that.
I'll keep it there.
Okay, you'll keep it? Well, that was really good. Okay. So from 5 to 12, it's about 12 hours a night, and for 12 to 17, it's about 8 to 10 hours per night of sleep. We need to have good sleep routines. I can't say that one as well. I can say that one. Thank you. We need to have good sleep routines. So first of all, we're going to exercise during the day to help us with our sleep. We're going to reduce or no caffeine after, say, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're not going to have screens for 2 hours before we go to bed. And also, we're going to have an early dinner so that the child doesn't go to bed on a full stomach. So a healthy sleep routine might be, for example, having dinner, doing some homework, having a shower, praying together, reading the Bible, reading another book, and making everything in the house just calm just before a child goes to sleep. Management. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is because anxiety and depression is such a big thing in obese children and in children in general, I just thought to talk to you a little bit about possible ways in which we can manage our anxiety and depression. So, of course, we've talked about exercise, and we've talked about good sleep, and we've talked about staying away from caffeine. But one of the things is a gratitude diary. A gratitude diary has been shown to improve the way a child thinks. The child starts to focus on the good things in their life, and it helps improve their self-esteem. So what I would normally recommend is for just before they go to bed to sit down and think of all the beautiful things of the day, all the gifts that the Lord has given them that they are recognising and labelling and seeing and appreciating and thinking about. And it's something that when things go wrong in their life, they can always go back to their gratitude diary and say, no, look, you know what? This is just a temporary thing. I've actually got a lot of gifts. My personal recommendation is also to have another diary, to have 2 diaries, a gratitude one, and one where at the front you would put some verses from the Bible or something that you've heard from a sermon, things that have touched your heart. And on the back, or in the back of the diary, for a child to write down their emotions. So if a child is upset about something, then sure, you go to mum and dad, go talk to them, go get a hug. But one of the things you can do is you go to your own diary and you write in your diary, I am really upset because of this, that and the other. This person said this and it offended me and I don't know what to do. I feel anxious. They pour out all their feelings into the diary, and it's together with the word of the Lord, and they can have a look and see that things that were not so good or that they thought were anxiety provoking can actually be calmed down by the word of the Lord and with their gratitude diary. And the last thing is prayer. It's not actually the last thing, it's the last thing I'm going to talk about. It should actually be the first thing. Our Lord Jesus Christ is always there with us every time. He loves us to death, literally. He knows the heart of a child. He knows what the child is going through. So if a child is feeling anxious in the middle of a classroom or anything like that, anytime, anywhere, the child can talk to our Lord Jesus Christ. And at night, for the family to pray together. So when a child is having some emotions of stress or anxiety or depression or low self-esteem or anything, then if they can go to their prayer, go to their family for support and to talk to them and get their hugs from them, do some exercise, stay off the screens and look at their gratitude diary. Hopefully all these together can help them cope with some of their emotions. So basically, in childhood is when we want to instill in them habits, good, healthy habits of lifestyle with their diet and their exercise and their sleep, so that a child's well-being can be improved and for them to take those healthy habits into the future and not become obese adults. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doaa. That's a very encouraging talk, and I like the way you combine science and the health with the Word of God as well. We have a few questions here, and one of the questions, can a pet help to reduce obesity?
Can what, I'm sorry?
Pet. Dog or cat.
Oh, a pet help with obesity? I don't know. Look, a pet can teach a child responsibility, can teach a child with bonding. It can help. If you walk the dog and chase the dog around the backyard, it can help with obesity in that perspective. Yeah. And if you can make them feel a little bit calmer as well. Yep.
Distracting them from digital things as well.
Yes.
Say. This seems like anxious mom, concerned about if we have already got into bad habits regarding food and have used words like fat, have I damaged my child emotionally and created a bad relationship with food?
Is what I always say. Look, as long as we can just start now, as long as we can say to the child, look, you know what, we're going to start together. All together as a family, this is what we're going to do. We're going to change things so that we can be healthier and happier and things can improve all around. So just start as soon as possible with the hand of the Lord. But yeah, so have they damaged them in the past? Look, I think one of the things that parents always go through is guilt. And if you are stuck in the guilt, then you're not going to move forward. So you need to be able to say, okay, we did things this way, it didn't work, it had some negative impacts, we're going to do it a different way, rather than being stuck in that guilt phase. Yeah, so just start now.
Next question is asking about what you advise to get kids accept healthy food.
Make it interesting. Make it interesting. So, for example, if you have chicken and vegetables for one night, for example, make the chicken in a variety of different ways. So one day it could be Mexican style, another day it could be with Greek yogurt and oregano and lemon juice, another day it can be with Moroccan spices. Make things interesting. Don't make the vegetables bland. Put some olive oil on the vegetables and season them. Season them with herbs and garlic. Make the food something that they would like. So homemade hamburgers is a really good thing to make. It's meat, it's carbohydrate, it's salad, it's cheese for the dairy. Another good idea is to make homemade pizzas. So you get your Lebanese bread with your pasta sauce and you've got cheese and you put on it your zucchinis and your mushrooms and tomatoes and capsicum and leftover chickens. That's a recipe that you can do in 15 minutes. Or an omelette, same sort of thing. Eggs are really good protein and put some vegetables in that. Make things interesting for them.
Another question regarding mom asking about the child when they keep telling their mom that they want to eat, and she said even if the food is healthy and they can't stop eating.
They can't stop eating.
Even if the food is healthy.
Yeah. Is the child overweight or not? Look and see what the reasons behind it are. So it depends on the age of the child, and is eating a way of distracting the child from something else? Is it a way of, is it an emotional eating perhaps? So look beyond the eating to why they are doing that, and then address it from that perspective. So if a child is feeling anxious and is overeating, then let's address the anxiety. First of all, we can reduce the symptoms of anxiety, as I said, with exercise and good sleep and no caffeine. But see what the reason why is, first of all. And if you need to give a cucumber here and a carrot there, then so be it, while you try and work out what it is that's going on behind them. And you can always see a paediatrician or a GP.
The other thing is sometimes the kids get bored and they find the way eating, watching TV, they want to eat, but if they take them outside in the physical activity, they will forget about the food. So distracting them with activity could be an answer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the when kids would like to watch something educational? You still limit the 1 hour, like it's Bible songs or Bible stories, and put them on a clip on the TV and they watch it and they get into it. Is still have the limit, or just is still as a screen time? You follow the sort of age groups you just mentioned.
Are you talking about the younger age group or the adolescents?
Yeah, younger age group.
The younger age group. Not all educational material has to come from screens. You can have books, you can have excursions, you can find other ways of just doing it. Generally speaking, it's mostly recreational screen time that we're talking about. So yes, they can, but not all educational stuff come from screens. Especially these days when information is sometimes not always that accurate.
One last question. Do you think gaming, playing video games are beneficial for problem solving and also fun?
No.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
Mum wants you to confirm with that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
When you game, you are doing something that's usually fast, and you're having you're working on your response time. You're not focusing. You're not able to focus on other things because you're too busy. You retrain your mind to look at things quickly and to react quickly rather than to problem solve. And the other thing is, gaming is addictive. And when it becomes addictive, then it becomes a solitary activity, and it doesn't help them with their social skills and social interactions. Or study. Because studying is really boring. Studying is now focusing, thinking about things, committing things into memory, problem solving, whereas this one is just a reaction.
This is my question regarding kids with poor sleep. How do you find melatonin can be helpful in children, or how safe, and for how long do you use it with them?
Okay. Melatonin doesn't put a child to sleep. Melatonin puts the brain in a sleep mode. That's all it does. And melatonin has been way overused in the United States. Apparently they've got melatonin in their toothpaste, the caffeine in the morning in the toothpaste, and then melatonin at night. Some really bizarre things. Melatonin is best used in children who have neurodevelopmental problems. That is the best application for melatonin. Sometimes in adults you can use it for jet lag, and a few other situations, but generally speaking in children, if you can just do the measures that I have told you about, then no. And I think the other thing that always gets to me is that I don't want children to think that there's a pill that fixes all their problems, whether it's anxiety or whether it's sleep or whether no matter what it is, or children who don't eat very well, the mothers give them vitamins. It's not a replacement for a healthy lifestyle. And I don't want them to get into the form of, oh, it's okay if I do this, I'll just take this tablet and that'll fix it. So melatonin for children generally, it might have a role if someone's having really a lot of difficulty during the HSC, but generally speaking, no. Just in autistic children, it really works very well.
Hello. I'd like to make a point for all here concerned. I was born in Italy. It's colder there. In Egypt it might be hotter, but I think that all of us have been brought up by parents who thought that a fat baby or child is a healthy child. So we might have an intergenerational problem here, because we are now in a food-rich country where meat is so abundant, and fat, the bad fats, other than fish fats, are just everywhere. And what chance have we got that come from that stock of children and parents? With all the advertising and things and availability, it must be so toxic for kids to try and get it right in their futures, in their parenthood.
It is hard, but you just have to educate them. It is true, though, that a baby who is a healthy weight, for example, versus a baby that is underweight, the healthier weight will go through an illness a lot easier than the underweight one. But certainly overweight is a different category, which is still associated with its own unique set of problems. And in the past, where in Italy, the Mediterranean diet is the best diet, so they still would have had a lot of olive oils and a lot of the good unprocessed food contributing to that fat, whereas now our fat is an unsaturated, is a saturated unhealthy type.
I was a really fat baby. My mother said that all the neighbours come and see how fat I was.
Good on you.
But the thing is that the trouble about that ideal was that there wasn't much food around. It wasn't healthy in those days, especially after the war.
Yeah.
So that you're right, the Mediterranean diet might be a bit different. So.
Yeah.
Can you have a comment about encouraging mom not to be deceived about false advertising, like things 100% juice, no added sugar, while it's full of sugar, and no preservative, and use normal fruits as a healthy diet for the kids?
Generally speaking, anything that's less processed or unprocessed will always be healthier than something that is processed. That's a blanket rule. The other thing is they can look at the nutritional information in the labels of each of the foods, not just the star rating, but the actual content of the sugar. So even if it says, fresh, healthy, or some of those words that they use in the advertising that attracts people, if you actually look at the content on the label of the sugars and the fats and the unhealthy elements in there, it's actually quite high. So don't be misled by the colours of the labels or what's on the labels, but just read the labels at the back. And when you go shopping, choose the healthier options. So even if you go shopping with a teenager, for example, and you look at, if they want a particular food and you look at the nutritional contents of that, compare it to another one and get them to choose the healthier one, the healthier option.
What the lunchbox looks like if you want to advise mom,
Yep, lunchbox: water, a fruit of some sort, like an apple, a sandwich such as ham, cheese and tomato. I know the ham's a little bit processed, but ham still has protein, it still has iron. Cheese has protein and calcium and other vitamins in it. The tomatoes are the antioxidants and some of the vitamins in that, and the bread is the carbohydrate. They can have yogurt if you can put a block of ice thing to keep it cold. Yogurt, they can have some nuts. Actually, no nuts, you can't take nuts to school. I take that back. Cheese sticks was what I was going to say, and also popcorn.
شكرا دعاء ربنا يخليك. Thank you Doaa very much, and it's very useful for us to understand that. I just say some remarks. Thank you. الأسبوع الجاي إن شاء الله هيبقى عشية حد الزعف، فما فيش برنامج بالنسبة لنا يعني. الأسبوع اللي بعده هيبقى ليلة العيد، فالبرنامج بتاعنا هيوقف لغاية 50 يوم الفرح. We start again after the resurrection feast. There are some points that I thought is good to speak to you about. Number one, so far the last 4 weeks were information. And the success is the number of people that watched our YouTubes. There are thousands. But I think this is not the target. If you agree with me, the target is achievement. Achieve something. I feel that the best success I received from two people, a middle-aged lady. She lost 7 kilos over the last week because of our program. Another gentleman in his 80s, he said to me he lost 2 kilos and he considered this is the achievement. فبفكر I'm thinking how to make our meeting achievable. Some points I scatter, and I hope that the servants of this meeting or this activity will benefit from it and add to it. Number 1, competitions. Competitions are a way of focusing on the purpose. One way to make a competition, I'm suggesting, is that each one entering this competition will give some money, say $200 up to $500 with us. If within the 50 days after resurrection you lose, say, 6% of your weight, you get your money back. If not, hard luck. You lose your money. Because your money will go to the top 3 achievers that will get something like that. Another point that is very important is the teamwork. And if I say that Anna وجورج as a team, we lose percentage of our weight. He cannot lose a lot of weight because he has no fat in his body. So I'll have to help him by working harder. So we can make it as family, yani husband and wife. They live with us $1,000. Either they get it back or we double that for them. We can measure, yani, مثلا, if they lose 88% of their weight combined, then we double the money they gave. They left 500, they receive 1,000. That's one thing. Another thing for the teamwork, you may see some Chinese people on the beach doing yoga or something like that. Why not to do something like that among our people? Especially people that are retired or a bit elder, that they are not committed to go to work. After the Mass, we can do something. If some of the sporty people among us can help us, we go to the beach, we have buses, and do something together. Something like that can be very useful for us. What else programs we should do that will help us? One idea, not acceptable very much to the Egyptians, is to be humiliated if you don't achieve. Magdi Skandar, you remember once you took me to Dr. Diamond for my diabetes. His method, this doctor, is to humiliate the person. Shout at him, and it didn't work with me. I didn't visit him again. But it works with people. I'm suggesting, you may accept or not, that our meeting will not be in the church, will be in the hall. We sit as a round table discussion, because so far we give information. I think information is almost available to everyone. We are living now in a very well-educated society. They know what we are saying in our YouTubes. But they need achievement. They need commitment. How? If we sit together with this idea of humiliation, those failures that didn't achieve, say, 3%, they sit on the left, and high achievers on the right, and in the middle, people that are average. I don't know if this will work or not. But it's good to understand that there's some penalty of you not achieving. What can we do? There's a group of people that went on a cruise last year. And on the cruise, there's plenty of food. And the leader of the group returned back after 2 weeks on the cruise. He lost 4 kilos. That's Gamal Shahad. Of course, high achievement. 2 weeks, lose 4 kilos on the cruise. Why? because of the sport activity, and he was living in the gym. So can we do something like that? Can we have boot camp? Can we have a cruise for us? So I'm inviting the servants of this group to think from now on about not knowledge as much as activity and achievement and commitment. If I belong to this group, and I think we can increase our number by membership, we can have a membership group of say 40, 50, and we help each other, then after say 2 months or so, you'll feel that really the church helped me. Last but not least, definitely, is to inject some spirituality. We can distribute written prayers for self-control. As you may observe, the majority of our talks were about self-control. Yani, how can I dispense with sugar and replace it by healthy food? Self-control. Can self-control be related to the work of the church? We can have, if we sit in a round table, around a table, say in the hall, having something to drink, healthy, of course, and speaking together about a topic, I think the achievement may be better. Thank you for sharing. Wagdi, if you like to say to us something.
Thank you, Buna, and thank you for everyone who participated in this series of talks. Just now we have some healthy food outside, just some salad, fresh vegetables and fruit, and some drinks and tea. So if you can join us, it would be great. Thank you.
Jerry Savina, Reagan, and Howard, and Agojan, the South, and the Novi, so they want to walk my